Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something a bit different. It's a personal prayer diary entry.
Yeah, from April 20th, 2025, written by someone named Rodgery.
And it's called Encountering the Resurrected Christ and Proclaiming the Hope of Resurrection. So it's not like a formal study.
No, not at all. It's very much his personal take, his reflection on a specific Bible passage.
Mark 16, verses 1 to 11. Our plan is really to unpack what Rodgery found in this passage. You know, what stood out to him.
And maybe see what resonates with us and potentially for you listening.
Exactly. We'll look at how Jesus' followers first reacted, the whole empty tomb thing, and, well, the message of hope that came out of it.
And the source itself, this diary entry, gives us a really intimate window, doesn't it? It's dated that Sunday morning, April 20th, 2025.
So he's praying, reflecting on Mark's gospel right then.
Seems so.
Yeah.
Focusing on how it applies to his life. It's that direct connection we're going to explore.
Okay, so let's dive in. One of the first things Rodgery notes, and this really jumped out at me, is about the women.
Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome.
Right. Even before they had any idea about a resurrection, they went and bought spices, you know, to anoint Jesus' body after the Sabbath was over.
An act of love and respect.
Totally. And Rodgery points out they were the last ones at the tomb when he was buried, and now they're the very first ones back.
It says so much about their devotion, doesn't it? Even when, from their perspective, it was completely over. Final.
Yeah, just driven by love.
It's a powerful place to start. No expectation of a miracle, just this deep desire to care for him, even in death. And, as Rodgery notes, maybe also a practical necessity in that climate.
These weren't distant observers either.
No, these were women who'd followed him, supported his ministry. Imagine witnessing the crucifixion, the burial, and still feeling compelled to return. That act of devotion, even in loss, it has weight.
Okay, then Rodgery shifts focus a bit to the timing. This is interesting.
When they arrive.
Exactly. The first day of the week.
Yeah.
Sunday. And specifically at sunrise.
Ah, the symbolism.
Yeah, he really leans into that. He sees it as a new beginning, you know? A stark contrast to the Jewish Sabbath, which was the last day of the week.
That's a classic interpretation in Christian thought. The shift from Sabbath to Sunday, marking the new covenant, the new era ushered in by Christ.
And sunrise itself.
He sees that as light breaking through darkness, right? Christ's resurrection, shattering the gloom, bringing light to those in the shadow of death, as the phrase goes.
It paints a vivid picture. So these women, they're heading to the tomb, grieving, but also dealing with a very real problem.
The stone.
The huge stone blocking the entrance. They're asking each other, who's going to roll that away for us?
A practical nightmare on top of the emotional weight.
And Rodgery sees that stone as like a symbol of the big obstacles we face when we're trying to find Jesus, maybe.
That's an insightful take. It resonates because, well, don't we often feel blocked by fear or doubt or just difficult circumstances?
Definitely feels like that sometimes.
But then they get there, and what do they find?
The stone's already gone, rolled away.
Yeah, and Rodgery makes a crucial point here. It wasn't rolled away to let Jesus out.
Right, he says the resurrected Jesus wouldn't need the door opened. He could pass through walls.
Exactly. The stone was moved so the women could get in, so they could see for themselves.
See the empty tomb.
For Rodgery, that signifies that the obstacles to us experiencing this resurrected life, well, maybe they're already dealt with by a power greater than ours.
That's interesting. It shifts the focus from us having to move the stone
to recognizing that something or someone has already cleared the path. It's an invitation to see.
So they go inside, and who do they find?
Not Jesus, but a young man in a white robe, an angel, Rodgery says.
The same one who moved the stone.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
And his first words are key.
Don't be afraid.
It's probably exactly what they needed to hear. I mean, imagine. White robes often signify something divine, pure. Fear would be natural.
Totally. And then comes the bombshell.
You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene who is crucified.
He is risen. He's not here.
The core message. Clear, direct. And then the angel adds something else.
Yeah. See the place where they laid him? Like, look, here's the proof.
Exactly. Tangible evidence, or rather the lack of evidence of his body, it forces them to confront this impossible reality. He's not dead.
And Rodgery digs into that phrase, he has risen. He says the word used there means something like awoken.
Yes, agiro in Greek. It implies being roused, woken up, often by divine power.
So Jesus awakening from death, proving he's the Son of God.
That nuance is important. It's not just resuscitation, it's transformation into a new state of being, empowered by God.
And the instruction to look at the empty space. Rodri thinks that's a reminder.
Not to seek the living among the dead. A timeless point, really. We can get stuck looking for life or answers in places associated with endings, with death, instead of embracing the new reality Christ offers.
Don't look backwards, essentially.
Look forwards, look for the living Christ, and then the angel gives them a job to do.
Right. A mission. Go tell the disciples.
And Peter gets a specific mention?
Yeah, go tell his disciples and Peter. Which is significant, isn't it? Considering Peter had denied Jesus.
Highly significant. It's a message of inclusion, maybe reconciliation, even before Peter has fully processed his failure. And notice who gets this mission.
The women. Rodri highlights this. They become the first commissioned messengers of the resurrection.
Which, in that first century context, is pretty remarkable. Women's testimony often wasn't given the same weight.
So it's radical in itself.
It speaks volumes about the nature of this new kingdom, this new message. It overturns social norms right from the start. They're told Jesus is going ahead to Galilee where they'll see him, just like he promised.
Okay, but here's where the human reaction kicks in, according to Rodri.
They don't immediately run off shouting the news?
No. They flee the tomb. It says they were trembling, bewildered, and they said nothing to anyone.
Because they were afraid.
Yeah, which seems completely understandable, actually.
It grounds the story, doesn't it? This isn't just a smooth, triumphant announcement. It's overwhelming, terrifying, unbelievable news. Their silence comes from shock and fear.
But then the story shifts again in Mark's account.
Right. It later mentions that on that same day, Jesus appeared first to Mary Magdalene.
And Rodri points out Mark uses a slightly different Greek word for resurrected here.
Anastasis. It means more like to stand up, to rise. It carries a sense of active victory, of overcoming.
Interesting nuance. And it's Mary Magdalene he appears to first. Rodri really emphasizes her connection to Jesus.
Her deep love. She was there at the cross, last at the tomb for burial, first back with the spices.
And even when the other women fled, she stayed, weeping outside the tomb.
That persistence, born of love and grief, seems to be what opens the door for her personal encounter. It wasn't just hearing the angel's report. She gets the direct experience.
Rodri really focuses on that, her passion, her longing. He sees that as why she was the first.
It highlights the personal aspect of faith, doesn't it? It's not just about accepting facts, but about that heart connection, that encounter.
And that encounter changes everything for her.
Absolutely. It transforms her profound grief into, well, joy and hope. The power of the resurrection experienced firsthand.
So what does she do then?
She goes and tells the others, the ones who are still mourning and weeping.
But they don't believe her at first.
No, which Rodri sees as kind of parallel to us.
How so?
Well, we can know about the resurrection, intellectually, theologically, but still be stuck in our own grief or despair, right? Still find it hard to really believe it changes things now.
Yeah. I can see that. The head knows, but the heart.
Exactly. So Rodri's point seems to be like Mary. Seek that personal encounter with the resurrected Christ, especially in the midst of difficulties.
And then share that hope.
And then share that hope, that lived reality, with others who are hurting. Move from knowing about it to knowing him and let that transform you and overflow.
It's a call to action based on experience, not just duty.
Precisely. He makes it very personal then, doesn't he?
He does. He mentions his own mother, her spiritual journey.
And how experiencing Christ's resurrection power brought healing and hope even when she faced physical challenges.
He connects it directly to his own life, his own path of discipleship, this core belief.
That if you see Christ, even through the hard stuff, through the struggles,
you'll encounter the resurrected Lord. And that encounter transforms despair into hope.
It's a powerful testimony drawn from his own life and his mother's. It grounds all the theological points in something tangible, lived.
And he finishes by saying he wants to share that message with others on their own journeys.
It brings it full circle from receiving the message like Mary to sharing it.
So when we step back and look at Rodri's reflections here, this deep dive into Mark, it feels like there's a really potent message for us today.
Definitely. It's not just about something that happened 2,000 years ago.
No, it's about the idea that this power, the power of resurrection, is something we can potentially encounter in our own lives right now.
Even when things feel impossible, when we feel stuck behind our own stones.
Or trapped in despair, like the disciples mourning.
So maybe here's something to think about.
Okay.
What if those stones in your life, you know, the things that make you feel stuck, overwhelmed, hopeless, what if they aren't primarily there to block you?
What else would they be?
What if they're actually opportunities? Opportunities to see a power beyond your own step in to clear the path.
Like the women finding the stone already rolled away.
Exactly. What if those difficulties are setting the stage for you to witness a new reality, a new beginning? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of empty tomb experience might be waiting just beyond the obstacle you're facing right now?
What new life might be trying to break through. That's
Yeah.
definitely something to mull over.